are. Good morning. Okay, it looks like it's working. I popped on just a few minutes early to make sure that it was going to work. Facebook is giving me anxiety. Good morning. So we're just going to give everyone a few minutes to find the video because I am just a touch early. And it always takes time for it to pop up on everyone's notifications and feed. How's everyone doing? How are we enjoying this weather we're having? I'm loving it. I know not everyone loves the heat, but I do. So I am very happy to be having all this heat and sunshine. Okay. So I've got the May calendar bundle from our calendar series. We're releasing this today. So this is our launch party video. And bundles will go live on our website after this live. Oh, you guys are liking the weather too? Me too. I just love, love, love it. I feel like summer is finally here. So have you guys been out gardening? I'm not a gardener. I mean, I have some basic stuff, but I'm not really a gardener. I do admire it, but it's not my thing. Darlene's excited about another calendar month. Well, I am too. And yesterday I was creating something special, not for calendar, but for something else. Oh, Karen's been packing. Well, that's no fun. That is no fun at all. Moving is not something I enjoy. I don't think too many people do, but I hope it goes well for you. But yes, I was creating yesterday and a little bit this morning. I just finished up the last few things. So that's something that will be revealed later in June, which I'm excited about. I'm going to take it to work today and show the girls, see what they think. But I think we're going to get started on this launch party. Those that are coming in partway through can catch up on replay. Okay, so most of you are familiar with how this works. We're going to do the launch party today, which means I'll reveal the layout, the bundle. I'll go through the layout, talk about any techniques or measurements. And then afterwards, we'll make the bundles available on our online store. Your bundle will come with a photograph of the finished layout, plus it will come with a label with a QR code on it that you can scan with your phone, and then it will bring you right back to this video. So when you're ready to put your page together, if you want to go over the things that we talked about in this video, you can go back and rewatch. Yes, I saw Shelby pop on. What did she say? Woohoo, I saw a sneak. Oh, Shelby, that sneak was not very good. The lighting last night, I was at my kitchen table, and the lighting in our house is not for seeing. it's to create atmosphere. So they have like sort of a yellow hue to them. Oh my gosh, the lighting was awful. So I think you'll like it much better in person. Yes, but I'm excited to share it with you. I know the girls always give me the reaction I look for when I create something fun. So they're great to share with. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the bundle. And then ignore my sticky notes for right now. That's the measurements I'm going to go through with you. But you get a sheet of craft and a sheet of white cardstock. And then you're going to get a full sheet of this designer paper here. And then we are giving you 3 half sheets of these 3 patterns, plus a 12 by 12 sticker sheet. And then there is your photo. And then I will show you the actual layout. So I'm going to show you the layout part first. So this is the layout that I created. We were doing a challenge in our inspiration group about creating a grid. And I love grid layouts. And so this is what I came up with. And it was a lot of fun to do. So you can see that it does showcase photos, but then it also showcases, oh, there's more photos down here. It does showcase fun little areas that you can embellish and do fun things with as well. So very different than the previous few that I've been doing, but that's the name of the game with these things. You know, it's always going to be different, and I'm really striving for different looks and things. You may see some repetition just because, you know, if you like a certain technique or a certain look, those things are definitely going to start popping up over and over again. But I did have a lot of fun with this one. So I would say the name of the game with this layout is this distress tool. So Megan introduced this when she was doing her lives using her folios and the products from 49 and Market. And I have had this in my drawer for a very long time, but I have not been using it. And I have pulled it out lately, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I did do some distressing of the edges, and I'm just going to pull this up a little closer so you can see, on the pattern papers. And I mean, I don't go crazy, just a little bit of texture. And I just think it really adds something. So if it's not something that you have done before, I do encourage you to try it. You might think, distressing the edge, what does it really matter? It actually does. It really does sort of elevate your page and just give it that little extra of something. And then I did do some inking using, let me grab it off my cart here. You can't even read this anymore, but it is Walnut Stain Distress Ink and the good old fashioned foam ink blender. So when I was an avid scrapbooker, meaning that's all I did, I really enjoyed inking the edges of all of my my papers and embellishments, because I just felt it really softened it and just really gave it some texture and sort of smooth things out. And the browns are my favorite to use, no matter what the theme of the paper or how bright it is. I find the browns really just sort of smooth everything out and tone it down. Now, you can certainly pick any color of ink that you like to do the distressing, but it works really great. So that's another thing that I did. So I'm going to bring in the calendar side for those of you who are doing this part. I've got to wait for my video to catch up here so I can make sure I get it all on screen. Okay, not bad. Okay, so the last few months we've been doing some stenciling and things in the background. Well, this time I didn't do that, so I didn't carry that over onto this side. You'll also notice that my photos are getting a little bit larger over there. I started out really trying to fit everything into the small calendar squares, but some of the photos simply do not fit. I cannot squeeze all of this down into a little rectangle without cutting people off. So I decided that it didn't matter, and I was going to go outside of the lines of just one box, and I've just made the photos a little bit larger. So some of you may know that a couple years ago I took up racing remote control cars, and my husband has a trackside business. It's called MRG Racing, and these guys are some of the guys that are on our race team. So it's kind of cool that I really wanted to get those things in. This is where I spend 66% of my week in the summer is spent in this trailer. So I wanted to make sure I got the whole trailer in there. And then of course the guys from the team, this isn't everybody, but I did have some photos. And then of course a few photos of my littles, because they always make the page. So just some highlights of the month. One of the main things that I highlighted is over here, because I had to look after Liam while Amanda had an appointment, and we went on a little bike ride. So I had lots of pictures of him, and so I made that sort of the focus of my month, And then I just filled in the rest with the calendar photos. So I thought it turned out really well. A different look than what we've been doing the past few months, but I just think it's amazing. I just love a grid layout. I had to sneak in some tags because I love the tags. So I'm going to walk you through the measurements for the papers. He looks so little. Well, that was like a year ago. So yeah, he has grown up. But it's so fun to go back and reflect. Yeah, I'm using last year's photos just because I need to be ahead, but pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the different papers and things that we used in the measurements, and then we'll kind of go from there. So the background paper is craft. So that is the background of the layout. But I did use craft to mat my photos as well. So a little trick, I actually cut the center out of the background paper because you're going to cover it up anyways. And it's just a waste to have all of this paper in here. So I cut it out and I left a 1-inch border all the way around. And then when that piece pops out, that's where I get these pieces here for the matting. So your background is 12 by 12, but now you want to remember to remove the barcode. The only reason I'm pointing this out is if you have the paper like this, you don't see the barcode. And I have seen so many people create a layout and not take that off, and then they go to slip it into their page protector and the barcode is still on, and their layout has been created and stuff comes down too far to cut it off. So I am just going to point that out, especially on this craft paper. It tends to, if you just happen to have the paper the wrong way, it does tend to do that. So cut your barcode off, make sure your paper is 12 by 12 for your background, and then you're going to cut out that 1-inch border all the way around. I'm going to just pull out my trimmer and show you quickly how I do that. I tell you to do it, but you might not know how. Now, I am a lover of the guillotine trimmer, but the guillotine trimmer and a rotary trimmer are not great for this type of technique. If you have a trimmer like this, you can make this work. The other thing you can do is you can use an X-Acto knife and a ruler, and you can cut it out that way too. So whatever works best for you. But when I put the paper in to my trimmer, I measure 1 inch over. Now, I don't know if all trimmers allow you to do this direction. Okay, let's say you can't. Let's go this way. So 1 inch over. So I put my edge on 1 inch. And then when I lay this down, there's a ruler on here too. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your blade down at the 1 inch mark here, and you're going to cut all the way down to the 11-inch mark here, and then you're going to stop. Okay, so that means that you're going to leave that 1 inch on each end that is not cut. And then you're simply going to rotate your your paper all the way around and do the same thing, and then the middle will just pop out. Okay, so that's how you do that, or that's how I do it. It works really good. And again, it allows you to use that paper that would normally be covered up to mat your photos. Okay, so 1 inch border on the frame, and then you need 5 pieces that measure 3 inches by 3 inches. And that is what I use to mat the photos. So if you want to mat them in a different color, if you don't want to mat them at all, then you don't need to do that step. But that's what I did with the craft. And then the white cardstock is the cardstock that is layered on top of that craft frame. And it measures 11 1/4 by 11 1/4. And then you just center it on top of the frame and adhere it down. And that gives you the white background. Excuse me. All right, so this paper here, the one that you have the full sheet of, so you are going to be using the journal cards on this one. Okay, this is the only one that I use the journal cards on because the half sheets, there's a top half and a bottom half, so each person is going to get a different half of the paper. Therefore, the pieces on the back are going to vary from person to person. So I couldn't really design using the reverse side, so I am only using the front. Now, obviously, when you are creating your page, if there's something on the back that you want to use, make sure you cut around that when you are cutting out your papers. But this one, anything that we're using is from the front. I didn't use any of the camera part of the paper. Okay, so the first thing I wrote down here was this number 9 journal card. And that is actually used right here. So I used my trimmer and I cut out the edges with that so it's nice and straight. And then I just used a corner rounder on the corners to make it rounded. Now my corner rounder did not line up with the edge on here, but I'm not too worried about it. You can see how mine looks. It's not exactly perfect, but I don't really care. And then from there, I'm just going to layer on some stickers. Now, while I think of it, this one right here, it says Day in the Life. You're going to look everywhere for that, and you're not going to see it because it is located right down here on the barcode of the paper. Okay, so that is the piece that I used. So when you cut the barcode off, you're going to end up with at least one of these, depending on which end of the paper you got with your half sheets. You may end up with 4. But if you got the top half of this paper, there's no barcode on it. But you do get at least one, and that's right here. And that is where I used that right on the layout there. Okay, so that's the number 9 journal card. And then the reminder list, which is right underneath here. So that's this card here. So that is used in this square down here. And you're going to cut it so that it measures 3 inches by 3 inches. So same size as your photo mat. You're going to cut that 3 inches by 3 inches. And I cut off the part that says reminder list. So it's only got the boxes and the lines. Okay, so that's the part that's showing on mine. And that goes down here. And then the today window, which is this one here. So that is this 3 inch by 3 inch square up here at the top. So what I did when I cut that is I cut as close to the edge of the end of this piece here as I could. And then I cut it off to measure 3 inches on the other side. So you will see, because this is a 4 inch by 4 inch piece. So you're going to cut in as far as you can to the edge of this, and then the rest you're going to cut off the other side. Okay, but you don't want to cut off the word today. So that is the grid piece right there. And then, that's the today. Okay, and then the watercolor strips are from here. So that is what I used on top of my tags right here. So they measure 1 3/8 wide by 3 inches long, and 1 1/8 wide by 2.5 inches long. So this is the larger one. So that's 1 3/8 this way, 3 inches this way, and then 1 1/8 by 2.5. So you don't want to have the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday on here. So that's going to get cut off, but there should be just enough to get those 2 strips out of here. Now, if you don't want to use those, the reverse side of one of these papers, oh no, not the reverse side, this stripe paper, you will have pieces left over from that as well. So if you cut it the right direction, you could use those striped pieces on here too. But I did use this card right there, okay? And then the other thing I used was the tags. So the tags are just cut from white cardstock. And I did use, let me grab it from my cart. I used the Pierced Tag Stacklets 2 die from Tailored Expressions. So these are a nesting set of tags that have piercing dots as part of the detail. So I'll just lift that up. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. Let's just see once we catch up. Yep, you can see that piercing on there. So I used 2 different sizes of tags here. And then I layered on the watercolor wash on top. Now, I also used the tag topper die, which I use a lot. Okay, let me find it. Here it is. Whoops. let's just pull, there it is. So it's called a tag reinforcement. So that it gives you all the dies to do these fun little toppers right there. And I used this one, but I used it in both sizes. Oh, no, I didn't. I just used it in the small size. And I topped my tags with that using craft. So you should have little bits of craft cardstock left over that you can do that. And then I added some twine onto the tags. So we sell the twine by the yard. And I think it comes in 2-yard lengths. And it's just a very nice thin, it's kind of like jute. And you just, I doubled up my length, and then I just popped it through there and just trimmed it down. So it added just a bit of texture. Okay, so that is that paper. So we'll get rid of that. And then we have our half sheets. So let's talk about the striped one. So the striped one, you need to cut 3 pieces that are 3.5 by 3.5. And then you need a piece that's 1.5 by 3.5. And this 1.5 by 3.5 is only if you're doing the calendar side of the paper, because that's this piece here. So the only thing you need to watch is the direction of your stripe. So obviously the squares, the 3.5 by 3.5, don't matter because you can turn them. But you can see that one is here, and one is here. And I do have the direction of the stripe going in different ways on the layout. But, and again, would it be the end of the world if your stripe was going up and down? No. But just if you want it to look like this, just be mindful of the direction that you're cutting when you do that piece. So it is 3.5 by 3.5 for the squares that go on here. And then you need 3 of those, and then 1.5 by 3.5 for the banner piece on the calendar. And I did use a 1/4 inch V. Now, when I say that, I mean the mark that I put here is 1/4 inch in from the edge, okay? And then I measure up from the corners and cut. So it's 1/4 inch in for the V. So that's it for the stripe. And then we have the floral. And again, you've got your squares for the calendar part, but then there is also a banner piece for the calendar if you choose to do that. Direction is not an issue on this one. So 3 of them are 3.5 by 3.5. So 1, 2, 3. And then 1.5 by 3.5 with a 1/4 inch V for the calendar part of the layout. So that is here. So that is it for that one. And then we have our mustard colored check paper. So this one, I did use this color for the banner strip across the top of the calendar page. So if you're doing this, you want to make sure you cut that first. Okay, so that is going to measure 2 inches by 10. So you just measure down 2 inches and then cut a strip, shorten it to 10 inches. That will leave you all this space down here to cut the 3 pieces that are 3.5 by 3.5, plus the piece that measures 1 7/8 by 3.5 with the 1/4 inch V for your little banner piece. Okay, so if you want to use the yellow check for the top of your calendar, make sure you cut that first. Okay, and that is it for that one. So that is all of the cutting to create the layout. Just going to pull this back on here. So again, as far as techniques go this time around, the only thing I did that was wild and crazy was the distress tool. And to use that, I'm just going to grab a scrap. So here is a piece of paper that I stamped out a background on when I was doing my live the other day. So you're going to cut your squares, and you're simply going to take this and you're just going to drag it along the edges until you get that sort of fuzzy, sort of distressed look. Is that even showing? Here we go. And that gives you that sort of distressed edge. And then you're going to come along with your ink. I'm just going to live dangerously and do it right on top of my layout. But you're just going to brush the edges with your ink and it's going to pick up that distressing. And when you lay it down on your white background, it really does show. So that is, that's the only wild and crazy technique this month. So I'm giving you guys a little bit of a break from all the craziness. So while I'm chatting here, have any of you finished your April page with the sort of mixed media background? I'm just gonna pause here for a second and see if anybody types anything. I've had a few people come into this store saying that they were pretty intimidated by it, but they did do it and it turned out really, really good. So I'm just interested. I was a bit nervous about that one because I thought if anybody's going to hesitate, it's going to be that one. Susan says no. Well, Susan, you need to dive in. Jenny did it. She loved it. Ellie hasn't done any yet. Ellie, come on, dive in. You're gonna love it. So it's funny. Shelby posted something on our inspiration group, and she asked people if they were more of a summer scrapbooker or a winter one. And a lot of people say that they struggle with scrapbooking in the summer. So here's a little tip. And I mean, I know I talk, but if you really just try, like even if it's 20 minutes, especially if you have a dedicated space. Amanda says she hasn't done, oh, you haven't done it yet, hoping this weekend. Yes. So especially if you have a dedicated space. Now, if you don't have a dedicated space, I know it's much harder because you have to clean things up after you're done. But if you have a dedicated space, you know, put your page out. And even if you just go in and cut a couple of sheets of the papers and get them, you know, the right size. And then the next time you go in, maybe you distress the edges. And maybe the next time you go in, you do the inking. All of a sudden, by the end of the week, you've got a page done. And I know it feels chopped up, but that's really the only way I get anything done in the summertime at all, are just little bits of things. So if I've got something in my head, whether it be a card, a layout or whatever, I just do a little bit. And like I said, even if it's just 20 minutes, and sometimes just getting into your room is half the battle. I have a hard time coming in from outside when it's so nice out in the evenings. So when I finally do, sometimes it's 9:30, I still come in for 20 minutes. Just sit down, you know, even if it's just shuffling papers around, maybe it's deciding which photos you're going to use. Maybe you can even do that when you're laying in bed at night. Again, one of the things that I do when I'm going through my camera roll, I know it works for iPhone. I don't know what it's like for Android phones, but I will mark the photos as a favorite, and then that actually puts them into an album. And that way, they're really easy for me to print. Now, I print my own photos, but even if you're uploading them to get them printed somewhere else, at least they're organized in one spot. So I find those little tips help me. So even if, you know, you're starting back in January, pull your kit out, do a couple of things each time you sit down. And if you have to skip a day here and there, that's fine. As long as it's kind of out on your desk, then you're able to do that. So I find that little tip very helpful. It doesn't feel like you're doing a lot, but all the little chunks of time add up pretty quickly. And then all of a sudden you've got a page that's finished. So it's pretty cool. And if you happen to be in the middle of something, like yesterday I was creating a layout, so I got interrupted a few times. So if I had a thought in my head, I have a scrap piece of paper that I just write that down, because sometimes if you go away from it and then it's a day or so before you come back, then that idea or thought process is gone. And then if I look at my note, I'm like, oh, right, that's what I was thinking. And then it kind of comes back to you. So just some tips to try to get you through the summer months. I need an outdoor craft room. Yes. And if you get any kind of breeze, it doesn't work. I do have a love seat on my front porch that I do go out. If I just have computer work to do, I'll go out and sit there. But I can't really do very much outside. Most of it has to be done inside. But I was out there this morning. I had to send all my invoices to my broker. And I thought, well, I'm going to sit out on the love seat and drink my juice and send those off. And I was out there for 15 minutes. So again, little chunks of time, snippets here and there, and we get it all in somehow because we're women and we can do this. Anyways, so that is it for the launch party. So just a reminder again, it's going to go live as soon as the kits are going to go live on our online store as soon as this video is done. You'll be able to purchase. We watch for your notifications. Normally we need a little bit of time to get the labels printed and put onto the bags and make sure everything is in order before we start completing orders. So just because you order it today doesn't mean you can run in later today or tomorrow and pick it up. Make sure you're watching for those notifications. We usually say the beginning of next week, but sometimes we're quick. So they are done sooner, but just make sure you're watching to see that you get those. But yes, the calendar series for May will go live, and I will tell you guys, every single month is selling out, which is amazing. We're really thrilled with how much everyone is loving this. I'll be even more thrilled when you start making the pages. I have set up an album in our inspiration group where I put the pictures of the layouts, and then you can upload your creations as well. But so don't wait too long before you order your kit. Like, we're having people, going in and looking 2 weeks after we do the launch saying, oh, I can't find it anywhere. It's because it's gone. You can't wait that long, because even people who are coming in to the store that know nothing about the calendar series, we have the layout displayed there and they see it and they're like, oh my gosh, I love that. Like, how do I create that? And then they end up buying a kit. So you can't delay. I know life is busy, but if you want to make sure you get each month, make sure you're jumping on it. All right, that's it. One more thing. I forgot to tell you. With the numbers, so I use the, if you're doing the calendar part, I use the stamp set here, Life Captured, to do my numbers. And there is a little color spot behind each number. So the color I used this month was Saltwater Taffy. Now, we have any of the add-on things that we talk about in a special category right on our online store. So the ink color will be on there, the stamp set, this calendar page, because if you are doing the calendar, this page is not part of the kit. Not everybody does this, so we don't want to include it for those that don't really want it. The distress tool will be there, the distress ink, like things like that. The tag set I used, anything that I used on the page that isn't included in the kit will be in that section so that you can pick up any items you might need. So that's the color I used for in behind the numbers, was the Saltwater Taffy from Tailored Expressions. Okay, I think that is it for today. It's kind of short and sweet. But Christina will be up on our on our Facebook page this afternoon at 1:30. So she is not making a card. So you'll want to check out what she's doing. If you have teachers that you need to send thank yous to, then be sure to check out what she's doing, because it might interest you. And we will see you all soon. Have a great afternoon.